Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today I'll be covering the essential Savage Sword of Conan Volume 4, published by Dark Horse Comics in 2008. This one will give us a heaping helping of John Buscema and Tony DeZanuga and include such amazing adaptations as The Treasure of Tranikos, one of my favorite Howard stories for Conan. This volume covers issues 37 to 48, and I'm pretty sure is almost totally written by Roy Thomas. And we have what looks like another gorgeous Norm cover here. So let's dive in, check this one out. This is a massive 500-page volume, so I'm going to try to resist the urge to linger too long on any one story, but it gets tough sometimes because it's all so good. And this is a little prelude to our last story in this issue, which is going to have an early team up of John Buscema and Klaus Janson, which is pretty nice. So what years are we going for here? So 1978 through the beginning of 1980 is what we're covering here. Still just a hair outside of when I started buying these off the rack. That would have been 81, 82. Late in 81, I started buying them. So we start with number 37. This is one of those issues that I actually have as a single magazine issue. Got it, I believe I grabbed it at Ides Comics a couple of years ago. I love this one in particular because we get Rudy Nebre's inks over Sal Buscema pencils, which is pretty great. Sons of the White Wolf by Roy Thomas. Nice Ernie Chan pin up here. Conan with the battle axe astride the war horse. He's got a shield and the horned helmet. This particular story is really cool. It's got a lot of twists and turns to it, and just this amazing scenes of carnage and violence that you won't get these in the color comic at this time. They had to play by a different set of rules. Again, we see Conan here in a turban, this time astride a camel, finding one of his old Kozaki compatriots, now dying. He asked that Conan avenge him, and so that will be Conan's thrust through the rest of this story, is to gain vengeance on the individual who massacred his ex-partner's village and killed him. And this is the guy in question here. And he's about to ravage this woman, and Conan bursts in. It's interesting to see. You can still see the telltale Sal Buscema facial features shining through in many panels. But again, the Rudy Nebres just has a wonderful, lush quality to his inks that really gives Sal's pencils a different look, a new life, if you will. They're really nice. Love the shading in this lower panel here with them astride the camel in the desert at night. And of course, they take their ease at this oasis, frolicking a bit in the water, as Savage Sword often depicts those sorts of scenes. But one must be careful when one enters any deep pool in the Hyborian Age, as we can see this massive crustacean attacking Conan and his female companion. He goes all out to rescue her and then himself becomes trapped, but he refuses to give up. Even as, lungs bursting, he propels himself desperately upward. While above, a Corinthian lady sees the dark shape swooping up toward her and wonders fearfully which of the two antagonists it may be. And of course, it's Conan. And they have a tender moment here. Love this bit of excellent storytelling as we begin to slowly zoom out and change our camera angles, if you will, and the lovers at the oasis. You get a really nice sense, too, in this panel of what Rudy Nebres brings to the table with these lush inks and the hatching and shading that he's providing here. I also always love when Conan's he's wearing a couple of weapons. A lot of times, especially in the color comics, he would just have the broadsword only. But here, a lot of times, he carries the dagger as his backup weapon, which he is very adept at hurling when needs must. So here, Conan comes upon a rival group of Bedouin fighters and manages to overawe them, turn them to his advantage, gets them working for him here. So many twists and turns in this story. Really cool. Lots of different, there must be 3 or 4 different factions in play in this story. And treachery and double crossing. These were sophisticated stories. They really were geared toward a more adult reader. Lots of rich character development, time spent on side characters. And then, of course, those side characters will die just when you get attached to them. This guy, of course, was Conan's quarry throughout the story, and he finally meets his end in grisly fashion here. Whoops, keep bumping my camera today. And we are left with a finish with Conan and the lady. Next up is The Road of Eagles. Cover tag is The Valley of Vampires. Nice Tony DeZanuga here. All Tony DeZanuga pinup. And then now we're going to have a straight run of Buscema and DeZanuga. And again, like I commented last time when I went over the volume 3, my suspicion is these are little more than Buscema breakdowns. Maybe with some stronger, more finished areas. But we have a lot of Tony DeZanuga here. I think he's doing like full finishes of John Buscema breakdowns. And it's a nice combination. The DeZanuga line is a sort of a scratchier line, for lack of a better or more appropriate vocabulary to describe it. A little more grainy, if you will, but very pleasing. Great visual storytelling going on here too from our art team. I love this wild man that Conan meets, the chieftain of the village that was massacred. There's going to be a lot of massacring in this volume for sure. Everybody's going to have scores to settle. Conan's in with this group of pirates in this story. He separates from them to do some scouting with this guy. And then we have this beautiful woman, Roxana, who's trying to get her exiled lover, who was a prince, trying to light a fire under him so he can retake his kingdom. And she's working with these guys, these Hyrcanian exiles, to do it. And I'm not sure who Gleg is, but this is such a great panel. It's one of my favorite panels in this volume so far. It's just totally great. So much Buscema in this panel, but then the DeZanuga finishes really just give it a nice overall look. And of course, this guy bites it in a pretty good fight here between 2 side characters. That's what's great about these stories is, yes, Conan is the principal protagonist, but the stories are long enough with enough depth that you get these side characters. And like I said, Roy Thomas is so good at storytelling and scripting that you get to caring about them. And even after a few pages, you're sort of sorry when they meet a terrible end because their characters are interesting. Or sometimes you're rooting for it because they're written so diabolically. But we get fully fleshed out side characters and supporting characters in these stories. It's pretty great. And this story has a really tragic end here. She feels like this guy's lost his spirit, so she can't live with that, so she kills him. and then herself, and this beautiful 3-panel bit of storytelling here. And we get, oh, look at this grisly maneuver here. Another band shows up, and they're pursuing Conan. Conan lets his crew run away. He's going to fight a delaying action. This guy sticks his head through the waterfall they're fleeing behind, and wham! Conan lops his head off. Throne of Erlich! But the sound of is cut off by a meaty chunk. And another guy tries to go through, and I love the silhouette of Conan here, and he gets brained. Of course, they're going to send an enfilade of arrows through the balls. And oh, this panel is so cool. These bowmen coming through, stalking on either side, looking for Conan, who's fled the scene. And this woman finds tragically too late that her love was going to be restored to the throne. And then, of course, we didn't really see it in the previous issue, but this issue we have a strong supernatural element at the end with these crazy vampire ghoul type men. This is interesting too, as I think Conan's climbing here. Yeah, he's climbing to get away from these guys. I think they're Turanians. He's shot through the deltoid with an arrow. But such is Conan's prodigious strength, he's able to carry on. One arrow even strikes the bottom of his boot, but fails to penetrate. When their arrows no longer reach him at all, they cease their shooting. And of course, their leader exhorts them to climb after Conan, but they are not on board with that because they know he's just going to murder them at the top. And he gets away, but he sees that his pirates in the distance have betrayed and left him. So, I was getting tired of these Hyrcanian lands anyway. After all, there are plenty of places in the West I haven't even looted yet. So easy come, easy go is always with Conan. Now we're on to issue 39. And this time we have our pal Sal and Tony DeZanuga on this issue. So Sal's back. He didn't do a lot. I think he only really did a handful of Savage Swords, but we get 2 of them in this issue. There may be more. Again, because Sal, while I love Sal, is not as strong a penciler as his brother John, the DeZanuga inks aren't as effective, but he still works. I would prefer, obviously, Rudy Nebres over Sal here, but it's a very pleasing result either way as we get some incredible fight scenes in this issue. So, is Conan a prisoner at the end of this issue? Yeah, see here, this figure work here is not, that to me, that doesn't look like Conan. And, I mean, it sort of does, but he's just a bit scrawny in this panel. It doesn't really work for me. So here we're back to John Buscema and Tony DeZanuga, and oh my goodness, look at this splash page. Wow. Yeah, this is tremendous. A Dream of Blood. Beginning our epic adaptation of the novel Conan the Buccaneer by L. Sprague de Camp and Lynn Carter. So that's the other major thrust of this. In addition to The Treasure of Tranicos, we have an adaptation of one of the pastiche stories by Carter and de Camp, Conan the Buccaneer. Oh, yeah, I love this cityscape here. I love the Hyborian cities, the look of them. Oh, yeah, look at that guard. This is tremendous. Oh, yeah, look at this guy wielding magic here. I love the idea that Hyborian magic, and I'm a huge D&D fan, tabletop roleplay fan, but there's a certain quality to the magic in the Hyborian age that makes it more special, more strange, more menacing, more dangerous than the sort of magic missile type stuff you get when you're, running a D&D wizard or whatever. I like them both, but this stuff is more visceral, weirder, and more dangerous. Yeah, this is pretty great. As he squats in the midst of a chalk-drawn serpent, the very symbol of the sect which is outlawed in the Hyborian lands. Yael Setish Setish Al Abatatax Karam Mizath Setesh. Then, as the dusky Menkara sits entranced, coils of smoke writhe and diffuse into a luminous jade green cloud. Mitra. So you get a really cool sense of how dangerous magic can be with that sequence there. I love this. Love the shading on this character here. This is that sorcerer from the previous page. And here on this character that he's conspiring with. Oh yeah, here's a nice shot of Conan. Our first look at him in this story. And Conan is a man who protects his friends and avenges them. And here he finds this person that he knows beaten unto death, and he's wants to try to get medical care for him. So Conan's going to try to get revenge. Love it here. Conan's sporting the cloak. And he's returning to his ship. He is a ship's captain in this. Oh, and here we have some of that dark magic that was summoned several pages ago. Striking at this female captain's crew. I read Conan the Buccaneer, gosh, probably 40 years ago. So I don't remember a lot of the details. And when I'm done recording this, I'll probably go back and read some of the stories in this volume. Maybe not today, but it'll be fun to relive that. I do like those novels too. I think the Ace or Lancer novels. Some people have mixed feelings about them because they freely mix in Howard stories, pastiche stories, and sometimes non-Conan Howard characters are recast as Conan and rewritten by DeCamp and Carter. So some people consider that heresy. I'd have to go back and reread them to really see. I enjoyed them as a kid. Could I tell the difference? Probably on some level I could. Now I'm sure I could. Oh my goodness. This is worth the price of admission alone here, seeing this just gorgeous lady in action and drawn by two such magnificent artists. And eventually you know she's going to meet Conan here at some point. Oh yeah, and this crazy thing is coming after him. It's a living statue. A blow that shatters part of the ebon wall behind him shows the barbarian that he was wise not to waste his sword upon a creature of living stone. But that is already yesterday's wisdom. So it's great. This thing's following him here out of the temple. Really cool. Oh, and here's Sigurd, who, of course, is an old Conan ally, and will again team with him in the Conan of the Isles pastiche story. So here Conan meets our female protagonist for the first time. Meanwhile, the statue is chasing them. I love its ape-like movements, too. It's really cool with its bejeweled face. And he tricks the creature into shattering itself on the rocks and survives. So here we have the quest for the Cobra Crown. This is Savage Sword 41. Again, a nice Ernie Chan pinup here. And we have our same team back: John Buscema, Tony DeZanuga, Roy Thomas. Continuing our adaptation of the novel, Conan the Buccaneer. So here we have our evil pirate and his equally evil sorcerer ally, and they're making this guy walk the plank. A lot of anachronisms in these stories. I mean, the Hyborian age is sort of a mixture, admixture of elements from anything from Bronze Age all the way up to the age of piracy. So we get kind of a healthy mixture of all that stuff. And it makes it a very rich fantasy world. Oh, again, gorgeous pan out here on this incredible temple of the Cobra. Up, and here we have Thothamon. Greetings, Menkara, little brother. Who is the dark-visaged Zingaren whom you have brought to my temple? I am Captain Zorano, Dreadlord, a buccaneer and emissary from the Villagro, Duke of Cordova. So, great Thothamon here. I love the headdress. Very menacing character. So here they have arrived in, I guess, what maybe Zambula or one of the other, what Howard called the Black Kingdoms. So we're going to get some of that action. And Conan knows Juma, his old friend, is a chieftain here. So they've got allies. That was from his days as, I guess, Juma, I think, might have been a crewman with him and Balit. Yeah. Oh, I love the scene of the party here. And again, who better at drawing women than John Buscema? He's just incredible. And this guy, still angry. Maybe he's going to try to whack Conan in his sleep here. Thothamon. Love the eyes there, so evil and grim. And his Conan's treasure was taken. Oh my goodness. This stuff is great. Sigurd, another one of those supporting characters that we kind of get attached to. Here Conan is taken captive and beaten senseless. And he's a captive. But like I've said in the past in my coverage of this series, Conan is rarely held captive for long, although again he's retaken. Looks like by some slavers. Oh, love this. That's so awesome. That temple is great. Oh yeah, and they're being sold on the auction block here. Goodness. I'll just let the picture speak for me here. Oh yes, beautiful. I love it too. I love the different body types too. It's really great. Conan has landed in a good spot for now. And he's gonna play the love slave role until he can get out of it. But this woman is putting it to his companion, and so he prevents her from. Look at Thothamon here. Next, the tree that devours. Yeah, and this is great. Richard Corbin pen up here. And then we have our cover by Bob Larkin. Nice. And I think before Joe Jusko, we had Bob Larkin. They're very similar. Their cover styles are very similar. I'm more a Norm guy, but I can see the value in those other two artists. And Savage Sword always had such wonderful cover art. And if you want to see more of that stuff in color, check out my video from a couple of shows ago where I go through the art of the Savage Sword of Conan that now sadly out of print hardcover. Bit of jealousy playing out here. Look at this incredible full page panel. Just the details are incredible. The rat in the top corner, this spider here, just this scum coated chains. And this poor woman is, what other indignities is she going to endure in this story? She suffers the lash from Gamburu. And then Tathamon appears and deals with her rather harshly. But he is there for the treasure. She escapes. Oh no. Look at this poor fellow. She wakes Conan up and he bend bars, lift gates. 96% there for Conan. He once again gets out. But these Amazons have another fate in store for Conan. And he's reluctant to take the blade to them, but he's happy to burn them with some fire to keep them at bay. And Gamburu is back. She was not killed by Tathamon's blast. And he throws his torch down so that his companion is not killed by her. And here they're going to go to the trees that devour our titular monsters. Look at this splash page. This is incredible. You know, I occasionally rewatch some of these videos, just basically to make sure that, you know, they look and sound good and I'm going in the right direction with them. And I have noticed, especially as I'm paging through these Savage Sword stories, oh, this killer plant's awesome, a certain ASMR quality to just the way the finger goes over these newsprint pages. And you don't get that with the new slick paper. And I'm not gonna spend too long on my soapbox about that, but I do just love the sound and the feel of newsprint. And it comes through in the videos. Look at this. This is just a Herculean feat of strength by Conan here. This is what Conan should look like. Just a mass of muscle. But also athletic, not at all clumsy or overbearing. Just pantherish, as Robert E. Howard would describe him. And then Juma comes to the rescue. Maybe Sigurd's here too. Yes, he is. Oops. So I think we're going to have our conclusion here. We get another Bob Larkin cover. Pin up by Robert Klein, whose work I'm not familiar with. Pin up by Tony DeZanuga. Concluding our epic adaptation of Conan the Buccaneer. So again, we have John Buscema and Tony DeZanuga. Script Roy Thomas, of course. We get a nice recap of the action. And then we are into the conclusion. We have that they're fixing their boat, which had suffered damage, and they have to say goodbye to Juma. Days later, it is sundown when Conan brings the wastrel into the harbor of Cordova. So I think they're in Zingara now. They're back in Zingara. Oh, and here's another one of those tremendous splash pages. This story is just filled with them. They're so incredible. It almost reminds me a little bit of Prince Valiant, just how lush it is, the Hal Foster stuff. It's got a little bit of Al Williamson to it, this combination of DeZanuga and Buscema. I really, really love it. After looking at this stuff and then looking at the previous stuff with Buscema and Alcala, I almost prefer the Buscema-DeZanuga team up to the Buscema-Alcala. And again, it's like saying, you know, take two of your favorite candies. I don't know. What do you like better, Snickers or M&Ms? I mean, they're both incredible. Peanut M&Ms, of course. So you can't go wrong with either one. But you're getting just such tremendous storytelling, lush details. Nothing is spared here. There are no shortcuts taken. All done with hand tools. Of course, this is way before everyone even dreamed digital could be used to produce art. And I'm certainly not knocking the modern art. I mean, I actually have on the table off camera here the latest issue of Conan with the return of Rob De La Torre as the artist, and man, it's like he's channeling John Buscema from Beyond the Grave. I think I've talked about that in passing before. So there's great work being done in the modern era. I just prefer the old ways. And maybe that's because you prefer what you grew up with, what's nostalgic for you. And this, of course, is our conclusion, our story end. By Lura's green beard and Thor's hammer, but there's just no arguing with a Cimmerian. So now we're on to issue 44, The Star of Kerala. It's another one adapted from Elsbride DeCamp and Lynn Carter, featuring the hero created by Robert E. Howard. And this is, again, we're back to Sal and Tony. So we have our third Sal Buscema issue in here. Again, not bad, just not up to the quality of the issues, the 4 issues we just went through. The figure work in this team up between these two artists is not as good. The storytelling is every bit as good. The panel arrangements, the decisions about angles, the depiction of the action, all really good. All up to snuff. But the figure work, the depiction of Conan and the supporting characters, it's just not as strong just because John is just a better artist than Sal, and I love Sal. It's all, of course, incredibly subjective. You can't, oh, this is a great splash page, or a great full page panel here. It's really nice. Showing Conan, oh yeah, using the claw devices to climb with this woman on his back. I mean, imagine climbing with, 125-pound person on your back. It's just immense strength. Great action. Another full page action shot here. Very cool. Ooh, brutal. Oh yeah, these guys are undead. Crom. Deadly shot with a crossbow, this lady is. Of course, Conan finishes bereft of any treasure, as he often finishes the story. Nice Nestor Redondo cover for a change up here. I like it. The Gem in the Tower. Red Sonja returns. Here's a nice pin-up by David Wenzel and Duffy Voland. So where are we at here? 45. We've got just 3 issues left, 4 issues left, counting this one. And we're back to Buscema and Dizanuga, John Buscema and Tony Dizanuga versus Sal. Again, Conan the Buccaneer. Not specifically the story Conan the Buccaneer, but Conan is still a buccaneer in this story. I do like it too when he's got like a tunic on, I mean, it's cool to see him obviously shirtless, but I just like the variation, the idea that yes, he does change his outfit from time to time. He's not always running around in a loincloth. Oh, this giant vampire bat guy is very cool and sinister looking. Drained the blood right out of that guy. Reminds me of Last Voyage of the Demeter, which I just caught up with, which was so grim. Great movie, but extremely grim. Oh yeah, they got in regular weapons. Damn, break on this guy. So it's going to take something special. Conan manages to slay him. When in doubt, use a piece of ornate Hyborian furniture too. finish off your monstrous foe. Look at them. This is so great. I love the way Buscema will do this from time to time. A closed panel, open panel here, moving to another open panel, but you're never confused of where the storytelling is taking you. Just a brilliant sense of action and how best to depict it. Man, this guy's unkillable. Gotta destroy the gem. What's that with the lich in D&D? It's the phylactery. You've got to destroy the lich's phylactery. Oh, we're back to a wonderful oral norm cover here, Moon of Blood. Oh, nice Kerry Gamel pin up here of a rangy looking Conan. So this one's Ernie Colan and Tony DiZanuga. We're definitely going to get a more svelte, less. I'm not a real big fan of the art in this issue. I'm just going to say it. It's great, whatever. It certainly does the job. But number one, I can't stand when Conan wears this horned helmet. They always have him wearing it in the Black River story, because I think Howard describes it. And these do look like picks they're fighting here. It's solid. Do I like this better than DiZanuga and Sal? Good question. I just thought of that. I'm going to say no. I prefer the Sal Tony DiZanuga, Sal Buscema, Tony DiZanuga to this Ernie Colan, Tony DiZanuga. I liked their pairing on Arak, but Arak is a different character than Conan. Conan is, in my mind, a more physically formidable character than Arak, and is just bigger and should be depicted in that way. And so this more lithe, less well-muscled Conan, well, a little less cool, but oh, that's nice. You get these incredible moments in any of these stories because these guys are all professionals. Here we go, our adaptation of The Treasure of Tranicos with a gorgeous cover by Earl Norham. And then interiors are by Gil Kane, John Buscema, and Joe Rubinstein. That's a Tony DiZanuga pin-up right there. We get some awesome Gil Kane storytelling here. Probably with some Rubinstein inks on there, it looks like. Looks like Rubinstein's line. And then we're shifting to John Buscema, a couple pages here. And we're shifting back to Gil Kane. So it's an interesting way they went about this story. There's Zorano again. He survived the Conan the Buccaneer story, I imagine. Of course, this could take place in time before that story. Savage Sword never held to a strict continuity, so from story to story, Conan could be a pirate, then it could be a story earlier in his career, later in his career. They had that liberty, and they definitely used it. That's great. This is Buscema here. Buscema Rubinstein. Very interesting combo. I'm kind of speeding because I want to get to our last issue because it's the conclusion of this story. It's issue 48, and that's Tim Conrad right there. I mistakenly thought this was Bart Sears in my coverage of the Art of Savage Sword of Conan. This is on the cover when you remove the dust jacket. This is one of the images on the front cover, and it's Tim Conrad. So it's just a few years earlier than Bart Sears came on the scene, more than a few. And here we have art by John Buscema and Klaus Janson, and this is gorgeous. Nice Tony DiZanuga pin up here. Really nice. Early team up of these two titans of 70s and 80s comics. the brooding heavy lines that Jansen employs, the spotting of the blacks, and just the fearless use of that heavy line over Buscema's pencils. Really cool. Ooh, man. Conan's a demon with that broadsword. This is great here too. Just the way he moves, the way John Buscema depicts him in movement is so dynamic. He's never stiff, never overbearing or clumsy looking. He always has those, as I say again, pantherish movements. And here are some really heavy inks from Klaus Janson. Really almost overpowering the pencils in these couple of pages. Oh my, yes, look at this full page. These tribesmen attacking the fortress, pirates fighting them back. And here's, oh, this is incredible. This is the best panel of the issue so far. Really cool, the Tothamon showing up, magically manifesting. The line weight, the variation here is incredible. We have this really heavy line and then fading to this extremely light, feathery line. And that's a really effective way to illuminate this character. Another nice play here with the lighting and the light line. Really cool. The Picts break in and we have a pitched battle against them. Oh man, that is brutal. Look at that. And here's Arano meets his end. Oh my goodness. Wow. This Pict parries a knife in his back. Conan is... Strombani too. All the men who followed me drowned in their own blood. And the manor, as the pirate said, it's on fire. Bolesa, Tina. So Conan's gonna try to save the ladies. Oh no, now another of his crewmen is dead. Here's the two girls. These blood-mad Picts. So he gets away with those two. And hopefully he's going to take them somewhere where they can be happy. How do you like King Conan? Sounds not half bad, eh? And we have a pin-up at the end here by Ed Davis. Another David Wenzel, which is very nice. Oh, great. We are treated to a Jeff Easley, D&D artist. Wow. Really great. Oh, gorgeous Rudy Nebres pin-up. Another Robert Klein. Double page pin-up by Robert Klein. And Ron Wilson and Joe Rubenstein. Steve Lealoha and Al Gordon. Gorgeous Red Sonja pin-up there. Alfredo Alcala. Tim Conrad, very much channeling Barry Smith. And finally, we have some adverts. And that is it. That is my read-through of the Savage Sword of Conan, Volume 4 from Dark Horse Comics, the essential Savage Sword of Conan, if you will. Again, I've been looking on eBay a bit lately, just out of curiosity, and you can find some of these if you're dogged in your search for under $30, $40. You can even get some deals where they're $20. It just depends, but more often than not, these are going for double cover price or more. And I think the later ones were printed in less quantities, so they're probably more quote unquote valuable. But I urge again, if you can get them while you can. I don't think they're going to be reprinted in this format again. I don't think Titan has the appetite for it, but we'll see. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, tell your friends, and I'll bring you more soon on Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.